Hey, and welcome to this total conversion mod that turns Doom 2 into Goldeneye. That includes weapons, enemies, sounds, and yeah, even the levels. There's actually some bonus levels at the end which are really cool as well. But for now we're just going to explore some of these levels as we play through here. This is Dam, and this is a watchtower. So yeah, this is a laser. You can sometimes get a sniper rifle. It seems to change randomly. I've not been able to determine why it does that. But this is the tunnel where the green lorry usually drives through. We'll get rid of the guards here. We'll have a quick look around here. You can see that, you know, a strong attempt has been made. You know, there's similar textures on the walls, and you can see that there's a watchtower here. This area is slightly shaped differently, it has to be said, but it kind of has the same vibe, you know, with the watchtower here. You'll notice that we teleported up there. That's because the Doom engine doesn't allow sectors to be built on top of sectors, so instead of having an interior sector, there's just a teleporter that takes you to the top. Kind of explains why there's no roof on top of that shelter there next to us. But yeah, I really like how the people that crafted this took their time and sort of made a good attempt at trying to capture the essence of what Goldeneye levels are, while also sort of staying true to Doom. And you can see that the enemies are modelled after Goldeneye counterparts, so, you know, if you are familiar with Goldeneye, the enemy placements are actually pretty accurate. There have been some creative changes made, so for example, we can't just go through the gate there, we have to go through this little watch house here. In the original game, you can just open the gate there, but I think they've changed it to sort of make you explore more of the level. And for example, we can't go through the gate here by shooting a padlock. We actually have to hit this secret switch here, which is where the computer monitor is normally. And this brings us out to the dam area here. And yeah, it might not have the same sort of mountainous scale that Goldeneye does, but you know, you can definitely see the attempt has been made. And this does have a similar feel, even if slightly smaller in scale. And you can see we can look down the dam and see into the water. What's interesting there is that they've actually put the secret area from the dam level in, which you couldn't really access. But you'll also have noticed that we couldn't jump off the bungee jump there, which ends the level normally. Instead, we actually have to go to another area. And from the top of the tower here, you can actually look down on the pier area, but we can't actually access that as of yet. So as mentioned earlier on, what this mod does is instead of sort of cutting out rooms, it'll just simply teleport you to another room. And I think that's probably the best way of handling the limitations on the sectors. Now you can see here, we're actually underneath the dam, and in Goldeneye normally, this is filled with crates, but obviously because, you know, it's no fun having crates that you can't blow up. Here they've decided to just put in a bunch of barrels, which, you know, let you have that same explosive fun. So we reach the computer room at the bottom here. Now, this vaguely looks similar to the computer room you'd see in the dam level, and you'll notice that instead of backing up the data, you actually have to hit that switch, and that's the switch that actually lowers the thing blocking the jump at the end of the level. So I kind of like how instead of the objective based system, which obviously they couldn't recreate in Doom, they've decided to just kind of make it so you have to explore the levels in that direction anyway. And you can see here, we can actually run onto the water and run over to the secret island. So if you've ever wanted to explore this piece of Goldeneye history, well, there you go. You can look at this approximation and enjoy the view. And what a view it is. It really does look pretty grand. I have to say, it's not up to obviously the standard of the Goldeneye engine and all that stuff, but like, to say that this is a recreation within Doom, it's a very solid effort, and you can definitely tell that attempts were made to sort of recreate the sense of scale that this level has. And what I really like here is that the level doesn't end with a bungee jump. You actually have to sort of infiltrate the dam, and that's really cool because you see that in the movie, but you don't get to experience that in the Goldeneye game. So when this level starts off, we don't actually start in the vents, we actually start at the opening to the vents. And I really like this because it kind of adds a bit more flavour to the start of the level, so it actually feels like you're infiltrating the facility level. Now obviously we're going to see the iconic bit here where you shoot the guard on the toilet, except we're just going to sort of drop down and shoot him here. But yeah, you can see this is the toilet section from the opening of the second level in Goldeneye. And yes, there are some guards on the toilet here, and we're going to deal with them. The doors drop down, they don't swing open, and you can see the size of those toilets, man. They're huge. But as we step out here, you can see that they've actually used the keycards in these levels to sort of force progression in a certain order. So rather than looking for a keycard, you know, by killing a guard, we have to look for the blue key. So it's staying true to Doom, but it's also kind of forcing you to kind of play a bit more like Goldeneye, in that you have to kind of look for the objective. Now, this guy in Goldeneye actually has the keycard, so that's actually pretty accurate. There's nothing behind that door there. And you can see if we go up these stairs, we end up back where we started. If you've ever played the Goldeneye version of Facility, you'll know that this looks kind of similar. There's definitely been a lot of effort made here. And instead of opening up the second door, this actually opens up the first door. So as we head into the next section of this level, you'll see that there have been a lot of attempts to sort of recreate the areas. So normally this would be filled with lockers, but there are 2 guards there in the Goldeneye game. There's always 3 guards here, because these guys always attack you as you come through those doors there. And you'll notice there are no NPC scientists like in the Goldeneye game, and that's obviously because in Doom there is no such thing as NPCs. These guards will normally spawn behind you in Goldeneye, and they'll sort of chase you through the level, so it's nice to see that's been recreated here. You can see that these rooms kind of lack a lot of the detail and finer substance that you'd find in the Goldeneye game, but a lot of attention's been made to try and recreate and position things in a very similar way, and the textures used, I think, really kind of help to elevate that feeling that you're actually playing through Goldeneye. This area looks very like its N64 counterpart, and that's really cool. Now unfortunately in the N64 version you can't shoot through the glass windows there, but you can see there's a red key there, and we can actually go out here to where Dr. Dope will sometimes hang out. Now you'll notice we teleported there. What's interesting about this room is if you play this in the normal Goldeneye and you come into this room, you can actually end up sealed in here if you accidentally shoot the gas canisters. Now luckily there's no such trap here, but this is just a big room with, you know, that looks really cool. It just feels really fun to explore and have a nosy around as we're kind of looking through the level here. So when we hit this switch here, we have to kind of move it to get through this door. So yeah, you don't have that long. You're basically on, I think, about a 5-second timer to get through this door. Yeah, we'll shoot the guards here. I think the one thing that this really lacks, I think, is the sort of structure of the objectives, because unfortunately, as much as they try to kind of push you in the direction you should really be going in the Goldeneye games, it's very hard to kind of feel the same things when you enter some areas, just because like when you reach certain points in this sort of mod, like nothing really happens. Like you don't really get the same story flavour that you do in Goldeneye, and that's not really a bugbear against this mod, it's just me saying that's how it is. I do love the fact they put in these extra rooms. So as I mentioned when I went through my Facility playthrough of this level, these areas here are only here purely for detail. They don't usually have to be here, so it's really cool that they've made the effort to put those areas in, even though there's no real reason to do that. Now obviously, because you can't really have cutscenes in Doom, there's nothing much to do here. Like, there's no Trevelyan and there's no Orloff cutscene, so we're just going to end the level here. I think that was a very faithful recreation. I feel that you know, if you looked at that, you know, from a distance, you'd probably think it was facility. You'd be able to tell it was facility from the layout. This area definitely feels like the opening to Runway. So the interesting thing with Runway is that you don't actually have to do much. You can literally just run to the end of the runway up there and finish the level. But if you do that, I feel like you're kind of missing the point of this mod. You're supposed to be trying to soak in the atmosphere here. And, you know, this is a fairly okay-ish recreation of Runway. It obviously isn't as big as the normal Runway. And you can see that a lot of the guards that would spawn in are coming in from invisible walls on the side of the level. Which, you know, it's fine. So there's no tank here, but you'll notice that there is a rocket launcher right there. So that's how they get around not having a tank in this version. So we'll head in here. Normally this way you grab the ignition key, but obviously we don't need that because there isn't a plane for us to run into. But again, I just like all the detail. I like the fact, for example, that they've put this little conveyor belt here, which, you know, they don't have to put it there, but, you know, it's a nice little detail from the movie. And as you can see, there's no plane, so we're just going to run off the end here. I think that those first 3 levels really do a nice job of recreating the first 3 levels of Goldeneye. Obviously, there are cuts made, there are corners that have had to be shaved off, but in my opinion, if you casually glanced at those levels, you definitely would get the vibe that they are Goldeneye levels. And so what we're going to do now, I'm going to jump to the one level I think most people will want to see, and that's train. So what's interesting is that this is actually quite faithful, if slightly boxier than the Goldeneye version of this level. And what I really like is that rather than shooting the little sort of engine things in each room, you are kind of blocked. You have to shoot these white panels, and it basically achieves the same thing, but it's a nice little way of kind of handling that while making the players still kind of have to do that. So what happens here is that when you run down here, all the guards will come out of their little hidey holes and we can shoot them all. I do like that they've kind of kept that shooting aspect in, you know, where you have to shoot little engine things, because that's something that could easily have been lost in the conversion, but it kind of adds to the, you know, feeling that you have to complete an objective, even though really it's just there to block you from progressing too far. I also like that they tried to create the visual of looking out a window, even though it doesn't quite work because of the speed that we're going, but you know, it's nice to kind of see. I also like how in this part here, they actually kind of recreate a lot of the traps here. So as we're kind of moving forward, some of these doors behind us are going to open up and enemies are going to kind of start attacking us from behind. And that's one of the things I remember about this level most horribly, because I've died many times to these ambushes. But yeah, as mentioned, I actually really like this mod. From what I've played of it, most of the levels have been really fun. There are 1 or 2 I'm not a huge fan of, but honestly speaking, like, a lot of effort has been put into this, a lot of care and detail, and it's really cool to sort of experience Goldeneye through the lens of Doom, even if they don't quite 100% mesh. So for example here, there's no cutscene or anything, you just have to hit this switch, then you could stand in here for hours and nothing would happen. So a lot of the tension from the original Goldeneye version has been kind of lost there, but you know, the effort is there. But I think that these levels we've played have been really solid, and if you're just looking for a new way to play the familiar Goldeneye levels, or you're just looking for a way to spice up your Doom experience with a bit of Goldeneye fun, then this is definitely not the worst way to go. I really like what I've played so far, and yeah, I'm definitely game for maybe doing a full playthrough of this if there's interest. But what do you think of this? Are you impressed? Do you want to give it a try? Or are you just not a fan?